dollars that are FDIC insured, which theoretically are the same as stablecoins. They're just like less risky. And the only time you would want a stablecoin is if you were doing like kind of like complex DeFi transactions
Right.
or anything like that. So we don't have stablecoins right now because there's not a real use. In the future, might we for like interest bearing and stuff like that? Probably. But you can sell for dollars and it is stable value.
Okay. And is it also if you, so the dollars are FDIC insured, but if it's in crypto, is it also FDIC insured or?
Good question. So we have a $375 million, it might be 395, $375 million insurance policy that's through Coinbase Custody, one of our storage providers, another company called Curve, another one of our storage providers, which is owned by PayPal. So PayPal and Coinbase Custody, two of our kind of storage partners, there's around $375 million insurance there. FDIC in particular is a federal deposit insurance for cash. So FDIC is only for cash, but for crypto, we do have this like robust insurance policy as well.
Okay, cool. It's so interesting to me because again, it's the same yet different, right? The premise is the same, and that's with really most of crypto. I mean, it's the same concepts. You have a wallet, like you would have a physical wallet, right? You have you're making transactions, right? You're loaning yourself like infinite banking, right? A lot of people use life insurance as a way to be their own bank, right? It's the same with a lot of this stuff. So it's really and I think when I got into this too, I was thinking about it that way and I was like, well, that can't be right. But no, it really is, right? That's really what this is. It's it's the same concepts, just using a different method, really.
Totally.
So there's a lot with this, right? And especially on this topic of money, right? Because money is so personal and we don't want to go, it's hard to get sometimes involved with, like we said, if you don't fully understand. But can you share some examples of how we talked about a little bit about starting small with $5 and $10, but are there any other examples or any other, kind of success stories you've seen in what you do to help people get started using DeFi and how it's really benefited them?
Yeah. So, it kind of depends on the gambit of like, you can still use centralized companies and it's not DeFi and there's still value, right? So if someone goes to like a Coinbase or an iTrust Capital, we are not decentralized like a decentralized protocol, right? Like we are corporations that are centralized that believe in the success of the industry and we offer you the ability to invest. Now, the good thing is what you have there are some benefits of centralization, right? Like if you store your own crypto and you don't really know about private key storage and you lose it or you get hacked, you can lose your money. Like with us or with Coinbase, we're a centralized company who specializes in security. So you just keep your email and your password and you don't have to worry about security. So that centralization, which has its pros, right? Just like it also has its
Right.
cons. If you want to hop on a plane and you want your money now, that's not going to happen with iTrust Capital or with Coinbase. So
Right.
there's pros and cons. People want to find kind of where they're started. What I always say is start with the centralized companies who are selling you the decentralized assets, because that means you have the safety and the security of the storage, but you have the upside of the kind of investing in the technology. And so with crypto, there's kind of two things going on. You can invest in the technology, or you can actually use the technology. So an example is if you buy Bitcoin and you leave it at Coinbase, you are investing in the technology, but you're not really using it, right? Now, if you buy Bitcoin at Coinbase and then you download a wallet, you withdraw your Bitcoin to your wallet, and then you send it to your friend, then you physically send it on the blockchain, it costs you $10 in fees, right? Then you're kind of using the technology. So that's kind of step one, being able to withdraw and send it. That's sort of like, wow, you're interacting with the blockchain, it's real. Now, once you have withdrawn assets and you've sent assets before, you now have the world of like, what is DeFi, right? Some of these wallets on your phone, they have essentially like an app store, right? It feels like the
Right.
Google Play App Store. It feels like the Apple App Store. And one of them is called Aave, right? Where you can deposit your money and earn interest. Another one is called, Uniswap, where, I have 1 ETH. I want to swap that for a 500 Chainlink, right? And you can just
Right.
swap it instantly. And these different apps or services are decentralized and they're protocols and they're competing with centralized companies. So Aave, you can earn interest. It's like a bank. It's competing with Bank of America, right? Uniswap, It's like a decentralized exchange. It's trustless. It's open source. That's competing with Coinbase. Now, the
Mhm.
really exciting thing is even if you don't use Aave as a decentralized bank, if you buy the Aave tokens on Coinbase, you're investing in Aave, right? And so if you
Right.
believe like, hey, I think centralized banks are not the future. I think decentralized protocols that serve the whole world are attractive. Aave right now, as a fundamental investor, not financial advice, one of the most exciting investments. I think Aave continues to do amazing things over the next 10 years. And you don't have to be a user of Aave to just go buy it and hold it and be a cheerleader and hope it does well. Or
Yeah.
you can be both people, right? I use both and I invest, and that's the whole gamut. But you could start small, start centralized, and maybe just look at DeFi and study DeFi and
Yeah.
eventually use it.
Right. And I think the way I try to look at it too is I try to use what benefits me, right? We talk about the banks and talk, how they're, shared our thoughts on that, but we really do still need the banks in some ways, right? Because like the example of my friend who borrowed against his crypto. Well, to get his loan for himself out, he had to use his bank, right? He had to, his bank was connected to the exchange and he had to be able to, get his money out. So at this point where things are, we're not at a place where I don't think we can completely, eliminate usage of banks. Now, in some instances, maybe depending on what's going on, but for me personally, I'm not at a place that I could do that. However, I do have in what I see the benefit of a lot of this is, like I said, being able to use each element when it benefits me the most. And that's another, I think, perspective shift, because we're so used to being told it's this way or you have to do it this way. And now we have choices. We get to do things differently based on what might benefit me over the banks or the corporations or whoever. And that's another, I think, element to this, or something to think about when you're setting up it, really, because for me at least, when I started, I got into this like, okay, what's my plan with this? Like, what are my goals? What do I want to do? Right? Do I want to go out and invest in 1,000 coins a little bit at a time, or do I want to kind of hone in on some things that I really believe in, or a project, or whatever that looks like? And I'm setting it up, and that was how I set things up, and that was my goals. That was what dictated my behavior, instead of randomly running around doing things and, oh, this looks good, or this looks good, or he said this, I should do that, right? That probably isn't the best strategy.
Agreed. Yeah. And so, centralized companies provide value. They provide an on-ramp for you to invest and keep it simplistic. And it is super important to not get, it's easy to get distracted, right? Everyone has
Yes.
probably their own favorite coin. And, you'll tell people to go buy Cardano. And then the next guy you walk up to will tell you to buy Algorand. And I can 99.9% of the time, if you were to ask those guys some fundamental reasons why Cardano is better versus Ethereum and what the difference between Algorand is, they don't know.
Right.
It's like a favorite. It's my favorite coin, and I want it to go up. And
Right. I
so
like it. Yeah.
they just like it. And there's a lot of talking heads out there on YouTube or whatever it is that they might not necessarily be steering people in the right direction. So that's why I usually say start small, start with Bitcoin and Ethereum, and just do due diligence. And it's important to try to know that anytime you read something about another coin, it's usually based on some sort of marketing narrative, right?
Right. Right.
And it's good to talk to technologists, right? Talk to guys who actually have studied blockchain and actually have used apps, because there's things that are really hyped right now, like a Cardano, that I fundamentally am not interested from a technology layer. And conversations I've had with people who love it, they're not interested in the conversation discussion. They're interested in the moon discussion. So
Right.
it's good to be safe, start slow, and learn over time.
Right. And that leads me to another question I had was, there's a lot of scams in crypto. There's a lot out there. So what are a couple of things that you would recommend to the listeners to really look out for, or red flags, things like that you see?
Yeah, that's why it's best, only stick with really big companies at first that you trust, like a Coinbase, like a Nitrust Capital, like a Gemini or Kraken. Usually, if you're working with a centralized company, see if you can schedule a call and talk to a human, right? Because that's another problem with some of these
Yeah.
companies. Yeah, they'll take your money and they'll sell you crypto, but will they answer your call if there's an issue? And then I sort of don't send your money to anyone offering you anything. There's a lot of these things that you'll see is, a giveaway. You send half a Bitcoin, you get one Bitcoin back.
Yeah.
You'd be
I mean,
surprised
that's
at
just, yeah. Like it's like
But people still fall for it. It's
the
incredible.
Nigerian prince sending you the email telling you if you just, like really? Like no. I mean, come on. We all know deep down that these things are a scam and it's no different in crypto, right?
Totally. Yeah, you just got to look at incentives. Like, what is the incentive for someone to give you back more than you sent?
Right.
And there is no incentive there. So, and with NFTs, I'd say right now, your listeners probably have heard about NFTs. I think
Right.
NFTs are really great from an art perspective. I think that they can change the world in terms of like programming value. But a lot of people are now thinking NFTs as investments. And,
Hmm.
I'm big NFT investor, have a portfolio that I find incredible. And, I'm wearing a shirt from something called the Bored Ape Yacht Crew, which
Oh
is,
yeah, I've heard of that.
these
Yeah.
apes that are worth
Yeah.
hundreds of thousands of dollars, right?
Yep.
I
Yep.
don't think that normal people should be investing in NFTs. I think if you like one for the art, buy it. But do you want an art that costs you $5,000, $10,000? Probably not. And if someone really likes the art and it costs $10,000, maybe print it and just put it up, and then you don't have to buy the NFT. But uh, you know, I'm worried right now that I think a lot of people are allocating capital and buying NFTs when they probably should be buying DeFi. And
Yeah.
DeFi is very quiet right now. NFTs are very loud.
Yeah.
Usually you want to buy NFTs when they're quiet, and then so be
Yeah.
contrarian, I'll tell people.
Yeah, no, that's great advice, especially because anything that's hyped up is already the hype is, you know what I mean? You want to, I don't know. I feel like you want to look at the other side, the one that nobody's talking about, right?
Yep.
And that's what I love about a lot of this is like finding those gems that are, at least to me are a gem or I'm really interested in, or I really like, I believe in the project, whatever it is that they're doing. Those are,
Mhm.
at least to me, the ones that I get excited about.
Totally. Yeah, and there's a lot of opportunity for people to do research and, buying coins that are not, really big boy coins and well known. There's still a strategy there. You
Hmm.
just want to maybe keep your allocation down, right? Just
Right.
because some
Yeah.
people will just go crazy. I'm going all in on whatever Rocket Pool, and like Rocket Pool is something that I love. It's not even in the top 200. It's fundamentally super valuable technology and it's relatively inexpensive, but you don't go all in on it, right?
Right.
You a few percentage points maybe, and then if it does a 10x, hey, it's 10, 20, 30%. So
Right. Yes. So as we wrap up the show today, what's one piece of advice you'd give the listeners to help them really shift their perspective, to help them live free in, like we said, what feels like an unfree world, especially as it relates to finances?
yeah, so I would say it's important to, if they haven't, whether it's with iTrust or with any company, make sure that they start looking into retirement accounts. The biggest problem right now is most Americans, if they're not if they are saving, which most are not, they're not looking at the tax issues, right? Where,
Right.
if you are able to accumulate a couple $100,000 down the line and get ready to retire, or, a million or more, then they're like, they never thought about it like, oh, well, if I sell this, I have to give like 50% to the government, right?
Right.
California will take like 15%, the feds will take 30, 40, whatever, depending. And so, retirement accounts are super crucial. I work in this industry because I explicitly believe that like financial planning and retirement accounts are very important and people don't do them. And I believe crypto assets are going to like completely
Right.
take over the world. And it's this like once in a lifetime opportunity. And then the other thing is like do research, listen to high quality information, get a lot of different inputs. So if you talk to someone who likes one thing, go Google or listen to someone who hates that same thing so you can
Yeah.
get both inputs,
Yeah.
rather than like living in an echo chamber.
Yeah, that's great. I think that's great advice in life in general, right? To be able to do that. And then you were saying what you were just saying about, oh shoot, I lost my train of thought on what
The
you were just
retirement
saying.
account taxes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And just about the tax, thinking about it from, if there's anything that would, I think motivate people to look into this or, take action, is that desire to not to have to pay any more taxes than is required. Right. And there's people out there to help you do that, just like Anthony. So, Anthony, I want to thank you for joining us this week. And can you share with the listeners how they can find out more about you and I Trust Capital?
Yeah, so I'm on Twitter. If you guys like crypto degenerate commentary, I decentralized. So I like an Apple product, decentralized. And then I trust capital. Just a coincidence at I, like a lowercase I, trust capital, or itrustcapital.com. Just to clarify, I'm not a tax advisor, not a financial advisor, just a kind of crypto investor who believes these things are the future, and people should really start considering it and just get good consultation.
Yeah, I like that. I'll link to all your social media in the show notes and your website so people can find you. And yes, just as a reminder, nothing we talked about here today is financial advice. We're just both love this